Hi, this is Valerie Guillaume, and I am going to expose in this very brief video a Canadian judge who is hoping that his corrupt actions are going to be covered up. But that's not what's going to be happening today. Jamie Trimble, I'm going to expose you, what you've done in my case. He's one of the most corrupt judges in the Canadian judicial system right now. So as I said, I'm not going to make a very long video. I am just going to expose this white racist judge who's sitting as a judge in the Canadian court and carrying out atrocities against certain select group of people. So what he's done in my case, and I've made a couple of other videos exposing him, but I'm going to try to make this one as brief as possible. So recently, his most recent actions was to stop my urgent motion from being heard. I filed an urgent motion to appeal or review his own order, and it's been prevented from happening by a couple of other judges, Ranjan Agarwal, another judge in Brampton court, and Michael Emery. So I filed a most recent urgent motion because I was evicted from the shelter and facing irreparable harm. And so I've had to do this previously, and this went before Justice Fowler Brain, who issued a mandatory order against the region of Peel, which is the local government. So I filed a similar motion recently to ask the court to let Peel allow me to be in his shelter system because I have a legal matter going regarding them. I have appeals that has to go before the panel. I have a motion to set aside Jamie Trimble's order. And so I have these issues, but most importantly, I am homeless. So I don't have a home, and I'm suffering irreparable harm because of that. So that's the focus of my motion. And Jamie Trimble made a one-sentence endorsement that I must serve the respondent Peel. So I had filed an ex parte motion because when you do service, it's a long time, at least minimum 7 days before a hearing date. Plus, they also need time to respond. So obviously, if someone is suffering irreparable harm, service on the respondent is not going to work. They're going to suffer irreparable harm. And so it was a similar motion I filed with Justice Trimble, an ex parte motion. And what usually happens is that the court will look at the urgency, the court will look at it, and then grant based on what's in the interest of justice, and also to prevent you from going through this harm. And so then later on you can have a full hearing where the other side can now participate. But the most important pressing issue is to prevent the person from facing harm. So what Jamie Trimble did was, the judge in Brampton, he made a one-sentence endorsement by email and that's what they've been doing, sending me their endorsement by email. Okay, when they're supposed to, if they're gonna do these things, then they need to make a proper order, a proper endorsement with reasons. Okay, they don't do that. They're not giving any reasons. They're just making these emails as a form of their endorsement and don't feel like they need to provide reasons. Okay, so that's one of the things. It's exactly one sentence, a single sentence, which was she needs to serve urgent motion and the respondent, she needs to serve them. So that itself was intended to cause me harm, because the judge knew that if someone is facing a situation like this and they are subjected to irreparable harm, why are you now going to make it worse by extending it and treating the situation as if it's a normal motion? And now giving the respondents time to respond and things like that. This is not a normal motion. This is an urgent ex parte motion, because this is an urgent situation. And I will tell you why he did it, because the court staff, Aman, what's his name, Aldot or something, who also work at that Brampton court. There's a number of court staff there that's been blocking my motion, and they made it very clear. And so he was coming up with reason not to accept my urgent motion for filing. And I was at the point, I said, I was going to go to the justice of the peace and lay a charge against him for breach of public trust, because he was interfering in my matter personally. And so he went to Jamie Trimble, which he shouldn't have done, because this all has to do with appealing or reviewing that Judge Jamie Trimble's order against me, which lifted the automatic stay of the mandatory order that the court had issued against P Region. So this clerk took the matter back before Jamie Trimble, and now he wants service on the respondent. So he's completely ignoring the urgency. And that's where his corruption lies. So he was basically acting in reprisal. So the clerk probably went and complained to him, about me exercising my rights, as I indicated I was going to do. Didn't say I was going to charge him or anything. I just said I was going to enforce my rights in the courts. And he just issued the order, the endorsement, one sentence endorsement, tell her she needs to make service on the respondents, when he knew that this was going to cause significant delay in an urgent situation. So that's his corruption. It's a violation of my charter rights. It's an abuse of power. It's corruption. It goes against the administration of justice, because when you file an ex parte motion, it's usually an urgent situation, okay? That's why it's an urgent motion, and usually that's why it's done ex parte and not the usual regular motion. And I also ask that the formalities of a regular motion be dispensed with, So the other documents that need to be filed with them, like a factum, a motion record, I ask in the motion itself for it to be dispensed because of the urgency. So it's his order that's being appealed right now. And so he's doing everything to cause me harm, not just with the order that he previously made, but to continue to work to cause me harm. He is a very racist and corrupt judge. Okay, so now I have not heard back from the other side after serving them with the urgent motion, because they don't need to respond right away, immediately, okay, under the rules. So they're taking their time. The court also has not responded that they have accepted my affidavit in support of the motion and whatnot, and my affidavit of service after I've served the respondents. Like, everybody's ignoring me and letting me continue to be in this urgent situation where now Peel Region had now forced me out of the shelter, and this is causing me irreparable harm. And so this is what now, just sitting back and enjoying. But I made a couple of videos, and let me stress it again in this video. It's going to be a short period of enjoyment for you guys, because I am prosecuting you guys in the ICC. All of them. Judge Jamie Trimble, all of them that carried out this abuse of my rights under the Rome Statute, crimes against humanity, will be prosecuted in the ICC. The other thing that I'm going to be doing is to sue this country and government of Canada directly. I'm going to be suing this government and prosecuting those who carried out these crimes against humanity and psychological torture against me, because not only do they want to try to break my spirit, they want to actually see me destroyed. So do you see me today looking as if I am destroyed? No. I am a strong black woman. I can endure a lot, okay? You're gonna have to do a lot more than you're doing to really take me out. And you already know that, okay? So even though the action of the judge, Jamie Trimble, is causing me irreparable harm, because obviously he don't want to see me go back in the shelter system in Peel. And it's so ridiculous because that's a violation of my right under the charter. So he allowed Peel to forcefully remove me from the shelter, as far as not being able to use their shelter system in that region. That is such a violation of my right as far as the services that I'm entitled to. How dare they? But I'm not getting into that. I said this is going to be a very brief video. And I want to make this video so other judges out there who are trying to carry out the administration of justice and trying to do what they're supposed to do as far as acting fair, treating people fairly, respecting people's rights in the court. I want them to know what this corrupt judge, Jamie Trimble, has done, which is to ask for service to be made regarding an urgent motion when the person is facing irreparable harm, because he has allowed the respondents to evict them from a homeless shelter, which itself is causing them harm. So anyone with a conscience who is a judge and saying this judge would do that, knowing that service on the other side is going to cause further delay and further harm to this person. So I wanted to expose what he's done so that he cannot go among his fellow peers and pretend like he's a judge that upholds the system of tolerance in this country, or recognize and respect people's rights in this country. He doesn't do that. I actually sent a letter to the Department of Justice regarding him, and I'm also going to have the Canadian Judicial Council examine him, and I would love to see this judge removed from the bench. I want to see Jamie Trimble, because of his personal corruption. He does not represent the interests of the public. There are many, many different kinds of people living in Canada. He does not respect those other people. He is a white racist. Had I been a white person, he would not have done that. So he's getting some personal enjoyment. But he should know me by now that I would expose him. He should know me by now. Not only am I going to expose him, I'm also going to prosecute him in the ICC, because as a judge in Canada, he has a lot of protection, okay? And so he's pretty much untouchable, okay, in his current position as a judge. That's how the judiciary work in this country. But there's no such protection under international human rights laws when you violate someone's right, especially under the Rome Statute. You can be prosecuted. There's no protection for you because you're a judge, or you're a minister, or you're this or you're that. You're just an individual who has been accused of a crime under that particular statute, and you can and will be prosecuted. So Jamie Trimble, have all of the fun that you need, because you will face prosecution in the ICC by me for carrying out crimes against humanity and torture against me, psychological torture against me, because his actions actually aggravated my medical condition. So I've been hospitalized twice within the last week, And so this is really causing me irreparable harm. Okay. And so this is like a joke to him, a game to him, and this kind of corruption need to stop. And I'm doing what I can to stop it so it doesn't happen to anyone else and it doesn't continue to happen to me, because I'm definitely going to do something about it. And so I said this is going to be a brief video, and so I'm going to end it now because I wanted to mention briefly also about another judge, Agarwal. It's Indian judge, also in the Brampton court. I actually went before him with my urgent motion, and he denied hearing it in the courtroom. Okay, denied. Yet, that same day, he went and reviewed the documents that I'd sent to the court urgent motion and then made a ruling on it. What I'm trying to say is that I did not get the opportunity to be heard, which is my right. My right to be heard and to make a defense. Why the hell now you're going to review my urgent motion when a couple of hours earlier I'm standing in your courtroom and you're saying, ma'am, I can't hear your urgent motion because this and that, I can't hear it. It's not before me. I don't know nothing about it, and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm getting an email later that day that he himself heard the urgent motion by himself, privately, without giving me the opportunity to respond, where I had that opportunity in the morning in his courtroom to be heard, and he denied me that opportunity. But now he's going to rule on my urgent motion and dismiss it privately on his own when I did not have the opportunity to respond and to be heard and to respond. So these are the corruption I wanted to expose him. His name is Agarwal, and he is another corrupt judge. And so these judges are doing these things in private, and they're hoping that their actions are covered up. But it's never going to be covered up if you do these things to me. I will expose you. And all of your peers, the other judges, the few judges who respect the rule of law, who respect the different people who are coming in the courtroom, their rights under the Constitution and the Charter, who has a conscience, and who is going to proceed as they should in the court. And this is few and far between, okay? Because corruption is the rule in Canada, whether it's among the politicians or in the court. It's just one massive corruption here, okay? And so that's just how they operate. But you may find one or two judges, as I did with Justice Fowler-Bryn or Justice Andre, who is going to look at the situation and say, this person is a human being, this is the circumstances they're going through, and weigh that based on other precedents that's been set, and the case laws, the common law, and things like that, especially if you're asking for equitable relief, okay? Which is what you're asking when you're asking for a stay, because it's discretionary on the part of the judge. But if it's a judge who wants to respect the rule of law and carry out the administration of justice and do all of these things, then it could be granted, and it's usually granted, okay, based on the circumstances. But these judges, those judges that I've mentioned, Agarwal and Trimble, and a couple of other ones like Stewart, L.B. Stewart, and Emery, and a few of them, they are corrupt judges. They need to be removed. They do not represent the interests of the public. When you go to the Canada Department of Justice website or things like that, when you look at their code of ethics, or you look at the Attorney General's website, which is also part of that website, when you go to the charter, um, because these e-laws are available online, so you can have easy access to them. They have code of ethics, and all of these things are ignored by these corrupt judges. This is why I've advocated for cameras in the courtroom, in the Canadian courts. There need to be recordings in the Canadian court. And most of the things that are happening would not be happening because these judges know that their actions are being recorded. And so they could be exposed. So unless this Canadian judicial system has recording where the public is now allowed to come in and see what's really happening in the courtroom, this kind of corruption is going to continue. And it has to stop because it endangers life. My life right now is being endangered because of the situation that this judge has done by delaying my urgent motion significantly, by telling me that I need to serve the others. And by the time they get around to filing their responding motion material, I would have suffered so much harm. I may land back in the hospital today or tomorrow, okay? Because I have pre-existing medical condition that is severely aggravated by this urgent situation that Judge Trimble has put me in, okay? And so his actions has to be exposed. I've already been hospitalized twice, maybe 2 or 3 times, I think twice. And even yesterday I was feeling very, very sick. But I decided that I'm going to make these videos. So I've done also more than that. I want him to be investigated because he has no right to endanger the safety. That's my right under international law. The right to life. Under international human rights law, I have the right to life. On the Canadian human rights law, such as the Charter, the Constitution, Section 7, I have a right to life and to the security of my patient. That is not what's happening right now. This corrupt judge has exposed me to danger. He's endangering my life. Even if I didn't have these pre-existing medical condition, which is severely aggravated by my current situation, it would still be endangering my life. So I wanted to expose him, and I hope other judges are looking at my materials that I'm putting online, because these judges who are acting corrupt are not going to hide. They're going to be exposed. Other judges and lawyers and in other countries and in Canada, they're going to hear and see this video, and they're going to see what these corrupt judges like Jamie Trimble does. There's no way he should have asked for service to be made with an urgent motion like that when he himself has caused this person to be in this situation by lifting the automatic stay on the mandatory order that the previous judge had made against the region of Peel, the local government, to house me in its shelter. Jamie Trimble lifted that. And even while the appeal is still outstanding. So this mandatory order now is before the panel, because the full hearing I was not able to attend because I was on 5 days medical leave. So this mandatory order is still before the court. And he now lifted it. And then he had the nerve to put in his endorsement, I think is paragraph 44, 34 and 44. 34 says that he believes that I will be homeless and suffer harm, to paraphrase him. And then paragraph 44, it says, if that was the case, then I can ask the panel to reinstate me back into Peel shelter. Why do that in the first place when you know your action is going to cause someone's harm? And not only that, After you've done that, and the person will go back to the court and says, I'm seeking a relief against what he's done, causing me to be evicted from the homeless shelter. He himself now stepping out of spite and wickedness and says, this urgent motion is not going to be heard as an urgent motion. Go and make service on the respondent, which is going to delay the situation. So that is why I had to make this video against him, because he's completely corrupt. And he should not be a judge sitting in any Canadian courtroom, because he does not respect the rights of anyone. He targets certain group of people, and he brings discredit, disrepute to the administration of justice by his racist, corrupt actions. And so I'm going to end this video here, and you guys keep watching, because I'm going to continue to report in regards to this situation as God allows me to do. So as God gives me the strength, despite what he's putting me through, I will continue to make these videos and expose these judges who are endangering the lives of people instead of protecting it and respecting their human rights, their basic human rights. And shelter is a basic human right. Adequate housing is a basic human right. All of these things he ignored in his order. So I'm going to be ending this video, and I hope that people get to see the level of corruption in Canada. This is Valerie Guillaume reporting in regards to human rights abuse in Canada.